Tell you what, I'll translate a bit of the chorus. It says Jèrriais, Jèrriais, notre chérilo, de la corbière au croix du vie, des manches jusqu'au Écréo. Nous voyons bon les noms Jèrriais. So that means Jersey, Jersey, our dear island, from Corbière to Devil's Hole, from the Minkies to the Egrehos, we hear in the wind the name of Jersey. Everybody say ah!
Jèrriais is it's like a mélange, a mix of French and Nordic tongue, should I say. So it's Jersey, what we call Norman French.
My father spoke French and Jersey French, but he never told us.
Just that it was the old language of Jersey. So not too much. I don't think they're going any further into it at school.
We don't speak it. We all speak a bit of French, but members of my family have studied it.
I'm a Jersey girl and I wish I'd kept the Jèrriais.
Yeah.
My granny tried to teach me Jèrriais and she taught me one line and it was Je m'en vais tu donner un tourne wallop and it means I'm going to give you a clip round the ear.
My son didn't speak much, but my daughter just sent me a card for Father's Day this weekend. He said, the top tits Phil on the card.
Jèrriais was the language of the household. Like when I was a child, and I'm 64 going on 65, most of the country farms, Jèrriais was the language of the household.
When I was much younger, I remember the sounds of Jèrriais all around me. We could come to town and hear, I don't know, farmers and people shopping, and they'd speak Jèrriais in the market in town and also the fish market. And I had some relatives who could speak Jèrriais and some family friends. So it was a sound that was part of the soundscape, a kind of linguistic soundscape when I was young.
My grandparents spoke Jèrriais. They spoke some English, well, they spoke a fair bit of English, but on the whole they were far happier speaking Jèrriais because after all it was their native language. They had all learnt it on their mother's knee.
Over the decades I've seen the language decline so much, and it's part of my heritage, part of my identity, part of my island identity, and it's very sad to see that sound, that language go. And it is going rapidly.
Unfortunately, they're getting less and less, and I'm possibly one of the younger generation that speak it fluently, that learnt it on my mother's knee.
And the Jèrriais that I speak is Saint-Jeanais, meaning the language of St. John.
To be honest, I think after my generation it's more or less finished.
When we were asked at L'Office du Jèrriais to come up with a way of introducing basic concepts of Jerseyness, aspects of Jersey identity and culture to all primary schools, I thought it would be a good idea to do this by starting with song, to choose a number of songs and use those as a way of introducing ideas about the economy, history, changing society, the nature of Jersey, and introducing those ideas through song. We could simply have done the traditional ways, some folk instruments, the accordion, have the choir in as we usually do, and do it in the traditional way. But since there was a budget perhaps to get some new recordings and do some of the traditional songs in a modern way, something which would appeal more to 7-8-year-olds than the traditional folk sound, and also a way of making the songs different. So there was some budget. We found someone who was able to do the arrangements.
So what they commissioned me to do was to just set 6 local songs to a slightly more contemporary style. They're folk songs, but they wanted them in a more contemporary style in some way to help them to teach Jèrriais in schools. So I took the opportunity and thought, cool. Went away, did some demos, and got really into it. And as I got into it, I thought, yeah, this is some mileage here. This is really interesting. So I sent a couple of demos away to people. I sent it to the Jersey Arts Trust and also to the couple of guys that run Jersey Folklore Festival and Jersey Live Festival, and they all really liked it. And they basically came back and said, "Can we book you? Can you come and play live at this festival?" And at this point, it was just me, a demo that I made on my computer. So I said yes anyway, and had 6 weeks to get a band together. And so we threw around some ideas for a name, and I drew on obviously my friend Martin and musicians that I knew and musicians I didn't know, but through contacts got to know. And we formed. It was like a kind of 6-7 piece band initially, and we got a little half-an-hour set together, and we played at this festival. And immediately it was news, you know, there's this live band singing in Jèrriais. So we are on our way into St Helier for a rehearsal. We're just driving along the south coast of the island. We're just on our way to a place called Fort Regent, which was an old, I guess, 18th century fort. And there is a very small rehearsal room there, which I'm hoping we're all going to fit in. And I don't think we've had all 10 of us there. Yeah, so it's going to be cozy. Okay, great. Alright, so, all good? Jan, da, trig, cut! The band has grown and evolved. We got some funding, we did an album, we did a bunch of gigs, we played all around over Jersey, we played in France and Guernsey and Sark. And then it's grown, we've done since then, we've done a Christmas album. Yeah, it's really interesting to see the effect it's having, and hopefully contribute to the ongoing experiment of, can we revitalise this language, can we save it from the brink of extinction, and can we help actually engender a sense of cultural identity that incorporates this language.
Songs, the more that we sing them, make a lot more sense now. You know, now I know what they're singing about, and also I begin to recognise words, whereas before I didn't. So it's a learning process for us all, really. You know what I mean? I knew a couple of Jersey French words like coller machin, things like that people had said over the years, but never anything that could string a sentence together. No.
Yeah, and you know, the fact that these tunes have been going around for some of them hundreds of years, and they've been sung by people just with the box, you know, the accordion box. It's great to make more of them and use a modern idiom and all different kinds of styles of music to make them very approachable to the children in the school. I think that was a wonderful project to do that, because some of the children that I taught were having lessons on Jèrriais, and they'd say, "Oh miss, are you in that band?" And we were in Badlabecques, and they were really excited, and I would play them a little bit, and they'd say, "Oh yeah," you know, in their lessons, and they liked that.
Why do we do it, guys?
Normally for the money, but tonight it was for the alcohol.
And the bean crock.
For the beer and the bean crock, basically.
To be part of it.
Yeah, to be a bean, to be a crapper.
Because it's a very interesting project.
Yeah.
But when
It's a great pleasure to work with Mr. Ashton.
Yeah, privilege of being around my ego.
You may remember him from such films as The Badlabecques.
Badlabecques have jazzed up a lot of the old songs. They've changed the tempo. They've made it modern. They are young, and so the children will listen, the grown-ups will listen, and I think it attracts people who think, oh, well, I used to speak Jèrriais, but I've forgotten it. Well, it's rather good to be able to say, let's go.
Badlabecques is very creative, so what Badlabecques is doing is creating new culture, new music out of old songs, old texts. So most of their songs are adaptations of folk songs, but there are some new things as well. So as language is dying, Badlabecques creating culture. And it's fun, it's funky.
Il existe un petit coin renommé par tout le monde, où les roues dont guetteront atterri. Il n'y a aucun pays qui peut fournir ce négat, car dans tout l'univers n'y a qu'un Jèrriais. Je n'ai pas eu ton nom, si notre petite île fait envie à tout étranger. Que c'est la campagne ou notre magnifique ville, Jean mais je ne sais son modèle est loin. Nos maisons sont bâties avec du bio-granit, et chez quand l'on jour le soleil. Quand t'as des perles, quand il faut aller dans nos kios, si chez que vous levez des choux,
I think it's a very noble cause. I don't think it ultimately will bring the language back to a working language across the island, but I think that its primary message is very, very important, that is that young people growing up in the island are very aware that there is a native language and there is something there, and it doesn't bypass them, so that they are aware when they go to the bus station and they see it written in Jèrriais, they know it, you know, they'll say to someone that comes from England, so, oh yeah, that's the language that is the Jersey language.
There is a value to having a strong cultural identity in terms of a strong community. It helps connect communities, and Jersey is a really diverse community. There's a whole range of challenges and issues and diverse backgrounds, from rich to poor, from different cultural heritages that have come from outside, Polish, Portuguese, English, Irish, whatever, and so it's a relatively transient community as well. You've got a lot of different seasonal workers coming in and out, as well as, you know, the finance industry is always churning. So actually, yeah, to help knit this community together in a positive way, to actually face the challenges of the future. We're talking about an island of 100,000 people, that the economy is actually, they very much put all their eggs in one basket at the moment with the finance industry, and you know, that's a precarious thing to do. So I think not just for economic reasons, but for the wider community reasons, it's really good to have a strong community that has a sense of itself and that has a sense of connection across diversity. And so good cultural identity is part of that, and language, and to have your own language which is unique to your little space, is a really powerful thing, and to be able to build on that and use that in a positive way, I think has some great potential. It's hard to say whether it is going to happen, how possible it is even, but I think that there is something there that's worth exploring and actually worth fighting for.
I've been really surprised at how many times we've seen the same people at the gigs. So there is a lot of interest, and people, I think now, they're more aware of holding, being in touch with their past. you know, your past is in some ways, you know, what you are, and Jersey is a special place. So I think it's helped to develop that sense in people. Yeah.
I find a lot of interest in how much of Jersey's history isn't written in English, it isn't written in French, it's only written in Jèrriais, and Jèrriais literature opens up whole aspects of Jersey, not just the farming and the experiences of people in Jersey, but also the experiences of Jersey people travelling abroad and their thoughts about the wider world.
I think it's important for people to understand where they live, and you'll walk around the island or drive around the island and you can see all the place names are in French or Jèrriais. And so if you live in a road that's got a French name, you should really, or Jersey French or French, you should really know what it means. And if you're in a district that's got a French name, you should know what that means. If you live in, I don't know, if you live at La Cinq-Chênes, you should know what that means. If you live at La Marais, you should know that it's the marsh. And I think many people live at a place called La Marais and do not understand what it means.
This whole impetus is trying to make the language important within the cultural entity, because I think up until now, apart from a minority, it hasn't. I mean, it was being lost. But I do know from people, even people that aren't necessarily Jersey born, but have been here for many, many years, you hear expressions used, and myself included, that are very typical to Jersey, you know, and the way that you, oh, I'd my love, and things like that, which is, it's common parlance amongst just about everyone.
La nature chante l'orchide nature. Jèrriais, Jèrriais, notre jolie love est la corbière au cœur du ville. Et l'on me soutient, vous savez, je chante dans les Endemic. Chez notre chide, la liberté, lui est chantée au bien marché. Et l'on me chante, Elisabeth chante, les jus, les chants Jèrriais, les chants Jèrriais.
I don't think Jèrriais will ever return to what it was, but we need to preserve it, and we need to make it active, and it needs to be exciting, because it's something that belongs to us, which we want to share. You would never tell a Welshman you're not allowed to speak Welsh anymore, but we have to make it exciting and accessible.
I think as long as Badlabecques has fun in doing what they do, then people will catch on to that. If Badlabecques having fun as performers, then people will think, hey, that's fun. If Badlabecques can create even more new songs, then people may think, oh, that's good, I want to be associated with that.
For example, at a Badlabecques gig, as someone from Jersey with an awareness of Jèrriais, and find yourself dancing and enjoying these Jèrriais songs, some of which are 300 years old, but actually they're sounding very fresh and interesting and entertaining, and you've got this primal rhythm going on, this Black Atlantic rhythm that's inspiring you, then you're very much going to be open to saying, yeah, this has value, this I like this, I'm associating this language with this positive experience and a connection to who I am in this moment in Jersey.
cultural change is a very interesting thing because as one thing perhaps disappears, something else takes its place. So with language decline, sometimes you can create new culture as a result of that decline.
I should imagine as a youngster, if I was 15 or 16 and I saw some lady dressed in that old kind of outfit, it's kind of interesting, but it doesn't hold any relative to you know, contemporary stuff. So I think that where that's a good part of it, we can't, Jèrriais, if we're going to come try and vitalise it, can't be a 19th century language, it must become a 21st century language.
Different timing. Like
there was only one that wasn't confused. He was a star.
That dance, I thought, with the genres on, I thought it was lovely, really lovely. We don't go quite the speed that you play, but it was lovely, it really was. I thought the whole evening was most enjoyable. I wish we had one like that in Guernsey. Just to get you youngsters together, because you encourage that with young James. He really enjoys it, you know. We just need a few young ones just to promote the language. Not only the language, but the actual I don't know, the way that we were brought up. I enjoyed your band. On a Saturday night.
I've realised that actually Jèrriais is beautiful and it's precious and it's endangered, and so it's got me more passionate about not just learning the language and connecting with it myself, but helping to safeguard it, because if we don't safeguard it, it will disappear. And so I've realised that I can use music to help that, to stay alive and to help that safeguarding process.
Music's around everybody. Everybody's born musical, and I think people listen to music whether actively or passively. People have the radio on, they watch TV in the car. Music's around everybody all the time. It's a very important part of culture that sometimes sometimes just taken for granted, I suppose. So if you can have a nice tune, a nice song, and people can remember that song, then it's another tool to use in safeguarding a language.
I found that for the beginners there wasn't a great deal of easy things, and although I was teaching adults, if you want to keep them interested, rhymes are always very interesting. They're short and sweet, and so there's a song in here actually that my mum used to sing when she was a little girl, and it was sung in French, which the children used to, of course, being Jersey, they used to sing a lot of things in French. And it was called Là-bas dans la fougère, which became Là-bas dans la fagère. Unfortunately, I can't sing very well, but I'll have a go. So it's called Là-bas dans la fagère, les coucous chantaient. Au revitalization, les coucous chantaient. Coucou, coucou, les coucous chantaient. Coucou, coucou, les coucous chantaient. Actually, it's a round, and whenever we want to get children involved, of course it's a good way of doing it, because one lot starts and then in the middle of it the other lot starts, so it always raises a laugh.
And I think it's important to just do what you can. And I think the songs in Badlabecques have really generated an interest, especially for the children, and really nice for the children to have that.
If you've got a song to start a class, the rest of the class may not be as exciting as the song, but at least you've got a song in the class and you can go away humming the song, at least you've remembered something. Bonjour, bonjour monsieur. Come cusate, si ben ça. Horzin, c'est il est bienvenu. Dans notre Jèrriais, n'y a rien de du.
Say after me, bonjour.
Bonjour.
Bonjour monsieur.
Bonjour monsieur.
Come cusate.
Come cusate.
Si ben ça.
Si ben ça.
Bonjour. Bonjour monsieur. Come cusate. Si ben ça.
Okay, smile and look enthusiastic. That's it.
It's sort of catchy and it sticks in your mind more, and it's easier to understand that way. I enjoyed it because it's different, it's more fun to sing in different languages because you get to know meanings of different things.
I really enjoyed it. I think it's fun to learn new languages and about cultures and stuff.
I thought it was quite fun, I just found it a bit tricky because I didn't know how to pronounce the words, especially when you're singing.
With physical beings and the way music affects us physically has some really basic elements which are yet to be really understood, but there's the ways that music affects the brain and works with the different processes of the brain in terms of rhythm and pitch, and the associations with emotion in terms of the links to language and tonal ideas and really primal stuff that is yet to be understood, but kind of happens perhaps on a level that is outside of culture.
If the kids are at school listening to John Grosjean, the rad and get, rad and go kind of thing comes in really, really, really well, because they'll repeat it, and that will make, when they hear the music, it will bring the association of the language with it, and I think it's always. And previous to that, languages were passed on before writing became something that was found everywhere. it was all oral tradition anyway, and a lot of things were remembered in song way because it's easier to remember the lyrics or remember the words if they're put into a song.
Mon Bieau P'tit Je, la reine des îles. Mon Bieau P'tit Je, la reine des îles.
I thought it was very good. Yeah, I thought it was very fun and I love learning those types of songs.
Merci.